Hare Krishna. Welcome to the lockdown program with Krishna under the umbrella of Govardhan Hill. Today we are reading and discussing the most beautiful Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmad-Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmad-Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Bhaktatan Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktarinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Bhaktatan Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktarinda Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktarinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gaura Bhaktarinda Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Giri Dwaradhari Giri Dwaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Giri Dwaradhari Jaya Giri Dwaradhari Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jai Pracha Janaranjana Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jai Pracha Janaranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Gaura Nitai, 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 Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Nitai Sachi Sundar, Nitai Sachi Sundar, Nitai Sachi Sundar, Nitai Sachi Sundar, Jaya Nitai Sachi Sundar, Nitai Sachi Sundar, Nitai Sachi Sundar, Nitai Sachi Sundar, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the lockdown. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. Samir, Dharm, and Ben, and that's it for the moment. So, a small group so far tonight. We're expecting Rashmi at one point. So let's go ahead. Anyone has anything to contribute? Let's see what I have here. First of all, we wanted to find out for Gopurnim, which is on the 28th of March. When is moonrise? So I researched it a little bit. Moonrise is at 7:48 p.m. So let's keep that in mind. 7:48 p.m. in the evening, 7:48. So after 7:48, we can break our fast, because it's fasting for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance at moonrise, said when the Lord made his appearance at 7:48. So, anyone has thought of some things they could contribute? I have probably a little film ready. Maybe I can record a song. Something on that lines. Anybody else has anything? What about Samir? You had some thinking what you could contribute? Samir? Anything?
Yes. Hare Krishna, Rose.
Hare Krishna.
At this moment, I don't, but because of certain things going on here. But if within the next week I think of something, then I'll let you know.
Yes, keep thinking. Something will come up, something nice, even small little contribution. What about you, Ben? Ben, are you there? Have you been able to come up with something?
Yeah, I said that I would do Gora Arti.
Yes, of course. Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Gora Arti, so that's your contribution. I mean, someone can offer some poetry. Maybe I would do some poetry. Put together, sit down for half an hour and come up with a short little poem in glorification of Lord Chaitanya. So many ways. Okay, yes, you will do the Gora Arti. What about you, Dharm? Is there anything you can think of to contribute?
I'm still looking at a couple of things.
Okay, maybe even researching something to read. I mean, sources would be Chaitanya Charitamrita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. That would be quite obvious. Don't pick something from the internet and we don't know the source and it's a hodgepodge. So something authoritative. Yes, think about. Let's see what you can think of. We still have quite some time to come up with some ideas. Okay, that is Gopunim. So we know the moonrise. Rashmi is here, yes. So, let's go straight into the Bhagavatam. Welcome, Rashmi. We just spoke about 7:48 on the 28th of March, Gopunim. 7:48 is moonrise. We can break our fast. And that's right in the middle of our program. So maybe you can eat all together some prasadam by then. Quite possible. It would be nice. In front of the camera. You need to place your mobile phone in such a way that they put some books behind, that you can see your plate, keep it a bit further away. All possible. So many things we can do. Okay, today we're going to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1.6.12. Let me put that in the chat. 1.6.12. Here it is, 1.6.12 for everyone. Who wants to do the first reading? Volunteers.
I can do it. You do it.
Samir, yes, very good. Go ahead.
I think we've already done that verse.
Are you sure? What's everybody else saying? Or they may be similar? No, I don't think so. Does it look familiar?
Maybe it's because I was reading forward. I saw it.
You're reading forward. That's very good. Read forward. I also read forward. So we are a little bit prepared. That's a very good practice. Thank you, Ben. Okay, Samir, go ahead. 1.6.12. The microphone is all yours.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Come a bit closer. Your sound is not that good.
Chitra Dhatu Vichatra Divim Ibha Bhagna Puja Druman Jalasyan Chiva Chalan Nalina Sura Sevita Chitra Swanaya Patra Rata Vibramad Paramar Shriya. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. I passed through hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver, and copper, and through tracts of land with reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for the denizens of heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds.
Okay, Samir, you want to take the next verse as well? There's no purport.
Okay. Nala Venu Sarastanva Kusa Kichaka Gehavaram Eka Evatyatoham Adraksham Vipinam Mahat Thoram Pratabayakaram Ve Eloluka Sivadshiram. Translation and the purport by His Divine Grace Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I then passed alone through many forests of rushes, bamboo, reeds, sharp grass, weeds, and caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerously fearful forests, which were the plague paths of snakes, owls, and jackals. Purport. It is the duty of a mendicant to experience all varieties of God's creation by traveling alone through all forests, hills, towns, villages, etc. To gain faith in God and strength of mind, as well as to enlighten the inhabitants with the message of God, a sannyasi's is duty bound to take all these risks without fear. And the most typical sannyasi of the present age is Lord Chaitanya, who traveled the same manner through the central Indian jungles, enlightening even tigers, bears, snakes, deer, elephants, and many other jungle animals. In this age of Kali, sannyas is forbidden for ordinary men. One who changes his dress to make propaganda is a different man from the original ideal sannyas. One should, however, take the vow to stop social intercourse completely and devote life exclusively to the service of the Lord. The change of dress is only a formality. Lord Chaitanya did not accept the name of a sannyas, and in this age of Kali, the so-called sannyas should not change their former names, following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. In this age, devotional service of hearing and repeating the holy glories of the Lord is strongly recommended. And one who takes the vow of renunciation of family life need not imitate the Paravarchakya Acharya like Narad or Lord Chaitanya, but may sit down at some holy place and devote his whole time and energy to hear and repeatedly chant the holy scriptures left by the great acharyas like the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan.
Thank you, Samir. Can you say a few words and summarize what have we heard? What are the main points?
Talking about sannyas, the example given is before the age of Kali, Lord Chaitanya traveled through central India, through the jungles, even chanting to the tigers, the bears, and also it's saying sannyas in this age is forbidden for ordinary men. Also, we should not just change our dress for propaganda purposes. it's saying that one should actually stop social intercourse completely. So, it's a very valid point, that is, I think, because if we don't stop the social intercourse, then we're still on, we still can be attached to Maya and that side of things. So we should try and stop this social intercourse completely. And I think the more we devote ourselves and the more we chant, then that social intercourse becomes mundane to us anyway. So it could happen to us naturally that we start giving it up, if we devote more and more of our time to devotional service. And it's saying that, by hearing and repeating the holy glories of the Lord is strongly recommended. And we should sit in a nice place, holy place. And at the last sentence there, holy place, and devote our whole time and energy chanting the holy scriptures.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Question for you or anybody else. What do you mean with social intercourse?
Social intercourse is interacting with people who are on the material platform. So they are not, anything that's not related to Krishna, we should not be doing.
Talking about politics and this and that and so many mundane topics which will not help us to make progress in spiritual life, which just keeps us in this material atmosphere. Rashmi.
Actually, Prabhuji, I have, maybe I've misunderstood, but actually I have heard, yes, that sannyas is forbidden because we are all so shudra that we are so fallen, sannyas is forbidden because we will never be able to live up to the rules and regulations. However, social intercourse does not only mean you still have to live in society. In fact, the very people whom you live with, your work colleagues, majority of the people, unfortunately, will be, some sort of non-believers or believers in, they will be impersonalists. But unless you associate with them, how is Krishna consciousness? How are you going to preach? How are you going to help the society? It will only be restricted. Your Krishna consciousness will be only about you then. That I do my bhakti and that's it. I have heard exactly the opposite. That it is sometimes the grihastha is actually he is the most advanced because he is interacting with so many people and yet maintaining his Krishna consciousness and able to follow all the whatever.
Hare Krishna. Like Samir said, social intercourse for what? Social intercourse, as you mentioned, Rashmi, for preaching to other people, for drawing other people into Krishna consciousness. That is not actually. Social intercourse means mundane affairs. We're getting involved in mundane affairs, talking about film, talking about football, talking about all these other unimportant topics. We may even touch on these topics in order to make an opening, but we don't find any pleasure or any excitement of talking about these mundane topics. So, social intercourse, it really depends about what we intercoursing, about what we are talking. So, no, we as devotees, we don't sit peacefully, quietly and don't interact with anybody. No, we're going out and telling everybody about Krishna. So, in this connection of sannyas has been mentioned. So the question is, why, if sannyas is forbidden in this age, Why then Srila Prabhupada gave sannyas to quite a good number of disciples? Ben, what do you think? Samir, what do you think? Why Srila Prabhupada gave sannyas when it says here sannyas is forbidden? No? Rashmi? Oh, Samir, yes?
Is it because sannyas, Prabhupada gave sannyas because he wanted to give the example of sannyas. What am I trying to say? I'm just trying to...
What you're trying to say?
I was just trying to think about sannyas, why Prabhupada gave sannyas.
Okay, may I read you something? Srila Prabhupada had to start this movement from nothing, first of all. So here, a realistic picture. So here Srila Prabhupada speaks. Most of you will fall. Most of you will fall. But I am in a war with Maya, so material energy, and I need leaders. It is called in wartime battlefield commission. There are no qualified leaders, but someone has to lead the charge. So you take every fifth man. Now you are lieutenant of the squad. He really is a private, but we make him lieutenant for the day and he leads the charge. It is to be understood that you are not sufficiently equipped for this fight, and most of you will go down. So that was a conversation in 76 with Krishna Maharaj. So Srila Prabhupada had to start off this movement and whatever was suitable. In some way he took that to take this movement off the ground. A battlefield commission. That's a famous quote. Try to remember that. Battlefield commission. So every fifth, we're not qualified. But Srila Prabhupada, he knew we may not pull through, we may fall down on this and that, so many things. But he needed some leaders, some men. He cannot spread this movement all on his own. He did in many ways, but he had assistance from so many devotees. He sent devotees to England. He sent a number of devotees to England, open a temple in London. They never have done anything like that. They have never been even in the UK. They have never been in Britain. They want to speak in London, and he just sent them. And there, with their strong faith in Srila Prabhupada and the Lord, they opened the temple, and that's how Krishna consciousness came to England. And they met the Beatles and so many things. Samir.
Prabhu, where did you get that quote from?
This is a conversation in 76 with Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada's conversations. There's a whole book, Conversations with Srila Prabhupada. There's much more. There are lectures, there are conversations, there are morning walks, there are letters, everything available. Besides the books. Okay.
Are they all online?
Huh?
Are they online, available online?
I'm sure you find it online. Everything is online.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Just put in a Google search, Battlefield Commission, Prabhupada, Conversation with Krishna. You don't even probably need that. In 76, it will come up. Okay, let's move on. Are there any other points? Here Srila Prabhupada writes, change of dress is only a formality. So the dress, and there is this story where Srila Prabhupada wasn't very much into formality. By now, I think everybody got that idea, even the formality of initiation. He did it. But that was not the most important thing. And I think I have told that story before when Lokanath Goswami Maharaj, and the story comes from him, everybody else, all the other devotees, they had all been sannyas by then, so he felt kind of left out. So he went to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, can you also give me sannyas? And Srila Prabhupada, the immediate reaction was, oh, you already sannyas, you just live like a sannyasi. And he was insisting. So actually Srila Prabhupada wasn't very eager to give sannyas. He said, you already sannyas. That was the main thing. You live like a sannyas, you're a sannyas. It's just a change of dress. Change of dress is only a formality, here Srila Prabhupada says. So, but Lokanath Swami insisted. Again, he said, oh no. And then Srila Prabhupada said, oh, you mean formal sannyas. So it was quite clear what Srila Prabhupada meant. Oh, you want formal sannyas. And then Lokanath Maharaj says, yes, Srila Prabhupada. So eventually he gave him formal sannyas. But that formality and the change of dress, that wasn't really the most important thing. What was the most important thing is preaching Krishna consciousness. And the formal initiation wasn't the main thing either. I just thought the other day, if we put so much stress on the Diksha, the formal initiation, how many people in this world right now? 7 billion? Is that right? Anybody?
Yes, 7 billion.
7 billion people in this world, right? And how many Diksha, officially authorized Diksha gurus within ISKCON? 100, 200 maybe? Maybe even 250 or 300, who knows? So how will 300 gurus initiate 7 billions of people in a formal initiation, yagya and fire and even not 7 billion, even just 1 billion? It's just not possible. That's not how Krishna consciousness is spreading. But Srila Prabhupada's conversation with Nirantara, if people don't get initiated with distributing so many books, how will they go back to Godhead? And Srila Prabhupada turned around, just by reading my books, they're initiated. Now, by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and they become initiated, then 7 billion people can easily be turned into devotees, or even 1 billion. That's how it works. If someone lives in the temple and so on, not everybody will get initiated. Then what? Shivaram Swami told me at one point, I remember that very well, he said, yes, devotees have worked very hard, so they get first initiation, Diksha, first initiation. And then they're waiting a year and aspiring and for Brahmin initiation, second initiation. And then what? Then there's nothing to aspire for anymore. And then the enthusiasm disappears. So that's not most important thing. The most important thing is to be in the fire of Krishna consciousness, to be preaching, to be spreading Krishna consciousness. We are all Srila Prabhupada's eternal servant, Lord Chaitanya's servant, and Lord Sri Krishna's eternal servant. So we acting in that capacity, we don't need formal things, a formal dress, a formal sannyas, a formal this, a formal that. We're just spreading. Of course, it may help her if someone takes formal sannyas and wears a saffron cloth, and then people immediately offer more respect. That's what was Lord Chaitanya's idea as well. So I didn't respect him very much as Nimai Pandit. But once he took sannyas, then he could convince even those he couldn't reach, even the atheists. They respected him and they made some progress. So in that way, formal sannyas, formal initiation, that can be a preaching tool. A preaching tool, that's emphasis. Everything should be a preaching tool for drawing in people. Or like we recently read, dragging Krishna is dragging the lost souls closer to him. So we assisting Lord Chaitanya in dragging the lost souls closer to Krishna. Like that. Okay, anything else, or shall we go on to text 14? Ben, would you like to tackle text 14? Take on text 14? The microphone is all yours.
Parishran tendriyat maham Drit parito bubhup hukshita snatva pitva radhe nadya upas pristo gata Shrama. Translation. Thus traveling, I felt tired both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took bath in a river, lake, and also drank water. By contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A traveling mendicant can meet the needs of body, namely thirst and hunger, by the gifts of nature without being a beggar at the doors of the householders. The mendicant, therefore, does not go to the house of a householder to beg, but to enlighten him spiritually.
Okay, say a few words.
Well, my understanding of this is that for an individual who's in the renounced order of life and they're in God realization, they have a very simplistic needs in terms of the body. So only they need to satisfy their thirst and their hunger. And then they, because they want to enlighten people who are in the material concept of life. So therefore they go door to door, but not for the purpose of receiving food and water, but the real purpose is to enlighten the householders about their true nature, and also their true the real vocation in life, to surrender to Krishna and to engage in Krishna's service, and thereby help them to mitigate the pains of material existence.
Jai, Hare Krishna. Yes, all for preaching purposes. I do remember the time, pre-COVID time, seems to be a long time back. I went door to door, and sometimes householders, they give you something. Other times, every door, I make them chant Hare Krishna. And Belgrave, for instance, all pious people. So 95% would say Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, but I kind of insisted, If I say before leaving Hare Krishna, I usually repeat Hare Krishna. So that is some preaching there, Hare Krishna, and of course giving some literature, some pamphlets, Reservoir of Pleasure, or small books, or Bhagavad Gita even. There have been some amazing stories and amazing exchanges. And there is one lady down there, I forgot her name. Very wonderful. She's a devotee in the midst of all the houses in Belgrave. Devotee lady. And she asked us in. Sometimes people ask you in, and then there's a nice opportunity to speak about Krishna. One gentleman, he was singing songs about Krishna. He had some little keyboard, and he was singing and showing his bhajans and all kind of. So that is a way of contacting the householders. Very nice. So there is a reference somewhere where it says, regarding for your... Now, are there not rivers to quench your thirst? Same thing as here. Are there not fruits in the forest? Are there not discarded cloth on the street which you can take and dress yourself? So this is all provided. But I like what you said, Ben, a simplistic, minimalistic lifestyle. That if we out of household life, we don't have to... We're not surrounded by wife and children and all the obligations, and we can actually live a minimalistic lifestyle. And that is very liberating. Live a minimalistic lifestyle. Eat minimalistic, healthy, of course. Healthy, simple. Khichdi. Khichdi is a renunciate meal. Very healthy. Rice, dal, and vegetable. What else can we want? Khichdi, everyday khichdi. And if not khichdi, then rice and dal separate cooked. So, simple lifestyle. To mind comes the story of Sanatan Goswami. He renounced everything. But he kept a very valuable chadar. Very valuable chadar. Ben? You know that story?
I think to eat khichdi every day would be quite austere for most people.
Say that again?
I think to eat khichdi every day would be quite austere for most people.
We're not speaking of most people. We're speaking of renounced people. Yes, it would be quite austere, but
there isn't. Prasadam is part of preaching Krishna consciousness as well.
Yes.
So we need to make prasadam attractive in a sense, you know.
Yes.
Prasadam should be attractive, should be delicious, should be appetizing, should be remembered by people who eat the food from the devotees.
Of course. There are some devotees, they're called halava devotees.
This is our tool. This is one of our biggest tools in preaching.
Secret weapon.
This is, I don't know if it's so secret.
It is a secret. I don't know where it's mentioned. Somewhere it's mentioned it's a secret weapon of Krishna consciousness, prasadam.
Because so many people have come to Krishna consciousness through prasadam.
Yes.
Yes, this is true.
There are some halava devotees, like Nilesh.
I mean, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I mean, you're talking about people who are more in the renounced order of life. Or devotees who are like very much free from all these things, you know.
I'm talking about one's personal meal. It's quite different from distributing prasadam, right? Distributing prasadam, it has to be opulent and attractive and all of that. But if you are sitting alone in your home in lockdown, you can eat very simple you're not preaching to anybody. You're just maintaining your body. That's what I mean to say.
That's true, yes.
Okay, Rashmi, your hand is up.
Prabhuji, there is a very famous story of Janak Maharaj. Have you heard the story?
Depending. Tell us.
So Raja Janak, he is Sita Devi's father. Raja Janak was known as Raj Rishi. So though he was a king of this place called Mithila, he was a renunciate king. So he's included in one of the 12 Mahajans, I think. 12 Mahajans or Paramhams. He's one of those 12 people. So he was a king, but he was a renunciate. His actions were of a renunciate. So once this group of sannyasis came to his palace, and they were staying at his palace, and they were giving him instructions on how a sannyasi should behave, and they were giving him instructions on, you are too much intermingling with all these people, and all that advice they were giving him. And at that time, a fire broke out. So a fire broke out in the palace. And I cannot remember whether it was a purposeful fire or it was just accidental. So fire broke out. So there was a thing going on, discussion going on between the sannyasis and Raja Janak. So whoever came, soldiers came to inform him that a fire has broken out. So Raja Janak said, we are in the middle of a katha. So you all handle it. You all do whatever needs to be done. And he did not bother. Nobody got up from their seat. The sannyasis were a little bit surprised, but anyhow they continued. Then again few more soldiers came. King, the fire has spread even more. It is now starting to come towards this hall. And again Raja Janak was not perturbed. He was very calm, and he says, we cannot get up in the middle of a katha. So you all go and sort out. So again these sannyasis didn't look very happy. Then the soldiers came back, and he said that, now the fire has reached, so these sannyasis, wherever they were housed, it has reached that, and the entire thing is being engulfed. Before Raja Janak could stop or say anything, all these 4 sannyasis got up and ran to save their loin cloths. So it was just proven that, so they were sannyasis, but were they sannyasis? And he was a king, but was he actually a king? So his actions were actually, there was inaction in action. And in their case, it was the opposite. So this is a very, very famous story, actually.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. Very nice. There is a similar story, I think, in relation with Ramanujacharya. They criticized one household, a disciple of him, and then what he did, overnight he took their kopen, their underwear, away, and or mixed them up or something like that. And the next morning when they got up, they actually got into quarrel. What did you do? Where is my underwear? And then he told them, just see, you're quarreling over a piece of cloth. And here is that my household disciple who instructed his wife, because they were stealing someone was stealing or trying to steal the earrings from her and the jewelry, and he said to his wife, these are all disciples of Ramanujacharya, so let them take your jewelry. And she listened to the instruction of her husband, and when she couldn't get the earring on the other side, she turned around in her sleep, so to speak. She wasn't asleep. She turned around that they could take the other earring as well, and in this way he also proved similar stories that the sannyasis were quarreling over their loincloth. So, but who knows the other story of Sanatan Goswami with his valuable blanket? Samir, you know?
I have heard it, but I can't remember. It was about his chadar, and then did somebody comment about it, and then
No, Lord Chaitanya wasn't pleased about this. He may have made some comment, but Sanatan understood. That's not. He by that point he had renounced everything. Just this one piece of available chadar that was still there, and so he understood the Lord is not liking that. So he went to a beggar and said, "Can I have your chadar?" And he gave him that chadar, right? And then when he came back to Lord Chaitanya, he was very pleased.
Yes, he exchanged it with a beggar. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Rashmi, your hand is still up. Let's go to text number 15. Rashmi, you want to read text number 15? Who has read so far? Samir you have and Ben you have, right?
I think Devendra's mic is working well as well.
Yes,
so.
it is. Okay.
Do you want me to have a go?
Dharm, you want to try text 15?
Then I read, and now it's someone else.
Yes, okay, Samir and you. So, Dharm, you want to read text 15?
Okay, I'll have a go.
Okay.
Yep. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasmin Niramya Ranye Diparapasta Arishita Atma Atmayam Atma Asham Yatya Shutam Achintayam. Okay. Translation. After that, under the shadow of a banyan tree, in an uninhabited forest, I began to meditate upon the supersoul situated within, using my intelligence as I had learned from liberated souls. Purport. One should not meditate according to one's personal whims. One should know perfectly well from the authoritative sources of scriptures through the transparent medium of a bona fide spiritual master, and by the proper use of one's trained intelligence for meditating upon the supersoul, dwelling within every living being. This consciousness is firmly developed by a devotee who has rendered loving service unto the Lord by carrying out the orders of a spiritual master. Shri Naraji contacted bona fide spiritual masters, served them sincerely, and got enlightened rightly. Thus she began to meditate.
Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you. You're doing very well with the Sanskrit. Very nice. Can you say a few words about that text?
Okay, so it's the relationships between a spiritual master and a disciple. Right, so a disciple needs to seek a bona fide spiritual master so he can carry out devotional service properly and connect himself to the line of paramparas all the way back. And the spiritual master has it's a two-way relationship. The disciple serves the spiritual master, but the spiritual master also, it's a reciprocal relationship where the master teaches the disciple any problems in spiritual or even material life, how to navigate them. But also, he's something else he offers, as I understand it, he offers his grace. So, I heard a story about King Manu and one of his sons. He used to guard the Gopala, which is the shed for all the cows. He used to do that every single day at night. It's very difficult for a person to stay awake all night holding a sword, guarding the cow shed from tigers and all wild animals. So one night it happened to be quite no moon, so it's very dark, pitch black. He sensed that the cows are very frightened. Because of the pitch black night, he couldn't actually see into the cow shed. Then I think he became aware of a wild creature. He assumed it was a tiger who entered the cow shed. And because it's pitch dark, he couldn't actually see anything. But as it happened, there was a lightning in the sky, and for a second lightning struck, and it illuminated the cow shed, and he could see for a split second there was a tiger about to pounce upon a small calf. So he raised his sword and he struck in the direction of the tiger. And everything went silent. So when daylight came, he looked into the shed, and I think to his horror, he saw that instead of striking the tiger, he saw the tiger's ear. So he struck the tiger's ear, but in the process, he also struck the calf and killed it. He went to his spiritual master, and he told him all the story about how he accidentally killed the cow. And then his spiritual master was very, very angry because cow protection is very important. And he cursed him in his next life to live as a Sudra. And he would go to the abode of, I think, Yamaraj to suffer for some lifetimes. I think it's how many cows are on he was actually
how many hairs on
how many
the
hairs
body.
how many hairs on the cow's body. He suffered that many years in Yamaraj, I think it was. That was his master's kind of a curse, I suppose, but it's when it comes to the getting back to what I was saying about the master and the disciple's relationship, it's the master's one of his duties to actually help the devotee overcome any obstacles, not curse them so much. Although the spiritual master cursed, I think his name is Prasida, I think it was. He went into a forest, and eventually, long story short, he went into the forest and he practiced devotional service away from civilization and the palace. So the story was he actually went back to Godhead. So although the spiritual master cursed the disciple, it wasn't his prescribed duty to do so. So the consciousness developed by the disciple is important, and carrying out devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master is much more important. So as long as you do that, it can override whatever. It's so potent, it can actually override any karmic reaction. So that's how strong bhakti is, and how it's very important to take instruction of the spiritual master so you can advance in spiritual life.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Dham. Beautiful story. Yes, generally with every curse there comes a benediction. We just have to remember when Narada Muni cursed Nala, Kuvera and Manikriva, who were shamelessly standing drunkard and naked in front of the sage, while the ladies they're bathed with in the heavenly planets, they were covering themselves. So he cursed these two, Nala, Kuvara and Manikriva, to become trees. But with that curse came the benediction. The time will come when Krishna is, because his trees are in Vrindavan, the time will come when Krishna performs his childhood pastimes, and he will be bound by a mortar, and Krishna will pull that mortar through these trees, and they're getting the personal touch of the Lord and getting liberated and going back to the original position, or back to Godhead, really. So, yes, that relationship with the spiritual master is, of course, very important, and we could talk for many hours on that. Actually, the spiritual master serves the disciple, and the disciple serves the spiritual master. So how does the spiritual master serve the disciple? By helping him to advance in Krishna consciousness in so many ways. So that is service on both sides. Likewise, we're serving Krishna, and Krishna wants to serve the devotees as well. So it's always a two-way relationship. And nobody wants to take the service of the other. If we are aware Krishna wants to serve us, we don't want that. So we're trying to avoid that, because we are the servant, and he's the master. But Krishna is very eager to serve his devotees. Very eager. He does not just want to be served, he wants to serve his devotees. So that competition of service is always going on. Okay. Anything else to that verse? We don't take the next one. It's a long purport with lots of notes here. So that was 15. So, anyone has any question or anything else to say? If not, we're doing a bit of Kirtan. We can talk after the Kirtan a little bit more.
I think we could take the next verse.
It's very long.
It's not so bad. It's only a half page purport.
Okay, Rashmi, let's do that. Your turn, then everybody got a turn. So, can you take the next verse, which is text 16? Are you happy to take text 16, Rashmi?
Yes, probably. So it's text 16, right?
16, the microphone is yours.
Dhyayatascharanam bhojam bhavanirjita chetasa utkantyasru kalak sasya hridyasinme saner harihi. As soon as I began to meditate upon the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, with my mind transformed in transcendental love, tears rolled down my eyes. and without delay, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared on the lotus of my heart. Purport. The word bhava is significant here. This bhava stage is attained after one has transcendental affection for the Lord. The first initial stage is called Shraddha, or a liking for the Supreme Lord. And in order to increase that liking, one has to associate with pure devotees of the Lord. The third stage is to practice the prescribed rules and regulations of devotional service. This will dissipate all sorts of misgivings and remove all personal deficiencies that hamper progress in devotional service. When all misgivings and personal deficiencies are removed, there is a standard faith in transcendental matter, and the taste for it increases in greater proportion. This stage leads to attraction, and after this there is bhav, or the prior stage of unalloyed love for God. All the above different stages are but different stages of development of transcendental love. Being so surcharged with transcendental love, there comes a strange feeling of separation, which leads to 8 different kinds of ecstasies. Tears from the eyes of a devotee is an automatic reaction. And because Sri Narad Muni, in his previous birth, attained that stage very quickly after his departure from home, it was quite possible for him to perceive the actual presence of the Lord, which he tangibly experienced by his developed spiritual senses without material tinge.
Hare Krishna. Beautiful verse. Say a few words about it.
So this verse Narad Muni is saying, is informing to Vyasadeva that the stages which he went through, how he started with meditation, he's writing, he's saying that when he began to meditate, then gradually he reached the stage where he was in ecstasy. He must have felt separation. That is why tears were rolling down his eyes. That is one of the ecstasies. And then when that stage was reached, that is the highest stage, that time Sri Krishna appeared in his heart. So you could see the Paramatma face to face. So basically this is all the steps which you have told us many times, starting from Shraddha, next is Sadhu Sang, then next stage is Bhajan Kriya, where you participate in the 9 angas of devotional service. Then after that, it comes to getting rid of unwanted things which are not favorable, that is Anartha Nivrutti. Then after comes, I think it comes steadiness. So even if there is an obstacle in your life, you will still remain undetermined, undeterred. You will be resolute. So that's Nishtha. After Nishtha, then Prabhupada is saying, after Nishtha comes, there's one more, is it attraction?
Not yet.
No, one more stage in between.
Yeah.
So after Nishtha, what does come? I don't know what comes.
Attachment.
No, not yet.
After Nishtha comes, so Bhava is before
Bhava is just before Prema.
So
what is after? After Nishtha is what?
After Nishtha. So it's not Asakti? Asakti?
No, not yet. That's after. What is after Nishtha?
After Nishtha is attraction, no?
No, here Srila Prabhupada writes, there is a standard faith in transcendental matter and the taste for it increases. Taste, ruchi.
Ruchi, yeah. So then ruchi. So after you have a taste, then is it attachment or attraction?
Yes, the same thing.
Attraction. Attachment is asakti.
Yes, that's what we're talking. After ruchi comes asakti, attraction, attachment.
And then bhava.
And then bhava.
And then prema.
Yes.
And then Srila Prabhupada is writing, once that prema stage is reached, then there is something even higher. When you start, that is the gopi stage, which is when you feel, you take joy even in that separation. That is the highest stage.
Of course, there is Mahabhava, but that is not that is Radharani's love. That is not achievable for us. That is reserved for Radharani only, Mahabhava. Yes, and then there is a Vipralamba in separation. I was recently, I don't remember it exactly, a conversation, someone was asking a question, I don't remember what the question was, about separation. I'll find it, because it was a very beautiful, and Srila Prabhupada didn't answer it for some time, and he was thinking, and then he was saying, that question was something to do with separation from Krishna. And then Srila Prabhupada was saying, that is a very difficult topic. You will understand that in due course of time. So he left it like that, because this we cannot perceive, understand properly, unless we are more advanced in spiritual life. So there are some things we just not able to comprehend. These things we comprehend according to our own spiritual progress. And as we progress, so many doors are opening, and so much higher understanding comes by Krishna in the heart, by the grace of the spiritual master, and so on. It's not just that we understand everything right from the start. Intellectually, maybe we can remember some words, but understanding it, that's a different story. Okay, what else? Spiritual senses. He developed spiritual senses. That's interesting. This means that the senses are purified. And this purified senses, purified from our lusty desires for personal enjoyment. Sense desires. Today I read somewhere also, the Lord is so kind, He lets us gratify our senses in this material world, and at the same time He leads us back out of the material world. So we have that facility, but not that we indulge in sense gratification. If Krishna is included, then that sense gratification will disappear. The lust will disappear. It becomes, has no value. So the attraction, that is just a switch in the mind. A switch in the mind, which we have been conditioned to lust over certain things. And it's just a switch in the mind. It's just like the switch is flipped over and suddenly that attraction is completely gone. May it be for food, for the opposite sex, for this, for that, for so many things. So that attraction it's just in the mind. It's not in the body. In the mind. The mind is so contaminated that we think we find some pleasure, some enjoyment. Enjoyment from what? From the contact of the objects of the senses with the senses, and that contact. No, we think in our mind, oh, that would be nice. If I do like this, like that. And actually, the enjoyment is in the mind. Even, let's take just an example. The prasadam is served, and we see it on everybody else's plate. Let's say we're sitting all in a circle, and it is served, and let's say a Sunday feast. And the enjoyment is increasing. We see there are some puris, there are some nice sabji with curd. Even talking about it, we can already taste it, isn't it? And so on. And the enjoyment is heightened and heightened and heightened. But when it comes down, we have been actually served. We're talking with a guest about Krishna consciousness, and before we know it, the prasadam is finished. So where is the enjoyment? Where is the enjoyment? It's just expectation, mainly in the mind. Of course, we like the taste as well, no question, but how long does that last? Let's say we take a rasgulla, that taste, that sweet taste on the tongue, how long does it last? 3 minutes? Then it's all gone. But in the mind, we can carry that desire. I want rasgulas every day. So, okay. Anything else can be said about this text? Anyone? Anything else? Or shall we?
Prabhuji, from what you have just said,
Yep.
So what I started doing was recently, because of Mataji said, telling me as well that I must give up I have this addiction for tea. I have a love for tea, which I cannot even describe. I have real addiction for tea.
Because you have been conditioned from early childhood on. That's why.
Not only after coming to this country. I was not
really?
drinking tea. Yeah, before that.
Who got you into tea drinking?
Because I used to work long hours in the hospital. What happens
and everybody drinks tea.
Yeah, so you just keep awake by drinking tea. So basically, that's what. So
yes, you will have to give that up.
So all this was being explained, how the mind is retaining the taste. So my question to you is, so let's say now what I am trying to do is, like yesterday was Ekadashi. So I did not drink tea, but what I did instead, I drank decaffeinated tea.
Okay, that's a way.
So I told
There's a way of tricking the mind.
But according to Mataji, when I told her today what I did, she said, no, decaf is not properly decaf. Nothing is 100%. Surely there will be some tea remnants in there.
Yeah, but it's a stepping stone. I would say decaf is better than not decaf. You still have the taste of tea, but the caffeine is mostly or completely out. But don't stay on the decaf for the rest of your lives. And from decaf, you go to herbal tea.
So according to you, letting the mind think that this is tea and drinking it is okay?
Yes.
Is okay. Okay.
For some time. Not eternally. What is that here? Chapter 20, the 9 stages of bhakti. Yes, thank you very much. Who is posting that? Ben, yes. Yes, keeps that very well. Handy. This is very important to know these stages, and then we know where we are. Are we on the Krishna Prema stage? No. Are we on the Nishta stage? Are we steady? Maybe. Are we on the Anartha Nivritti stage? Yes, these things are clearing out. When the Anartha Nivritti stage is finished, then you won't drink tea anymore. Then all unwanted things have disappeared. Naturally. Just by hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and chanting Hare Krishna. That's it. Okay, anything else? Anyone? We'll do a little bit of Kirtan and then we stop. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe Radha London Ishwara Radha London Ishwara Radha London Ishwara Radhe Radha London Ishwara Radha London Ishwara Radha London Ishwara Radhe Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Radha Govinda Chi Radha Govinda Chi Radha Govinda Chi Radhe Radha Govinda Chi Radhe Nitai Satchitanda, Jai Nitai Satchitanda, Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Gurudev, Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Koho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Let us offer our most respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like these higher trees, and they are full of compassion to the fallen and conditioned souls. They can fulfill all the desires of everyone. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Here we stop our lockdown for tonight. Thank you very much. You're getting better with the slideshow, but there is still a long way to go. When it came Radha Shyama Sundar, that is from Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan. What came up in picture? Radha Madhava came up from Mayapur. So you can perfect your slideshow in many, many ways. Radha Raman was there, yes, very nicely. Krishna Balaram was there. And when it comes to Giriraj and Nitai Satchitanda, yes, of course. Do you agree you can perfect that more? Ben. Hare Krishna. Line them all up beforehand, you know what is the order or something. I don't know. Okay, here we stop. Is there anything else to be said? Or we just quitting here and we'll meet back on Saturday?
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. See you on Saturday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare Krishna.